Welcome to The Point, a podcast by Apex Benefits and dedicated to employee benefits thought leadership. You can find more episodes for free on iTunes by searching The Point or Apex Benefits. Please rate, review, and subscribe to be the first to know about what we have in store for you. To learn more about Apex Benefits, please visit our website at www.apexbg.com or find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. Let's get to the point together.
Welcome back to The Point. This is Scott Long with Apex Benefits, Executive Advisor, and today sitting down with Jeff Ostermann of Sweetwater. Jeff, welcome.
Thanks, Scott. It's good to be with you today.
Absolutely. Hey, I thought maybe before we dive in to conversation, maybe for our listeners, just share your history, your role with Sweetwater, and then we'll dive in.
Sure. Well, currently I serve as the Chief People Officer here at Sweetwater. It's actually a new position we created several months ago to bring a little bit of additional leadership and commitment to our now 1,700 plus team members we have here in Northeast Indiana, and really just focused on making sure that we're doing everything we can to invest and develop them and provide them with the best employee experience possible. And personally, I don't actually come out of an HR background. I actually began my career in finance, worked up through a variety of operational positions, largely in private family-held companies, which Sweetwater also continues to be, and then transitioned to Sweetwater about 8 years ago and held a number of different roles within the organization prior to stepping into the job I'm doing now.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you devoting the time. You nailed it. The employee experience is just absolutely critical to any organization, and that's kind of led us to this particular topic. The employee experience across the board has fundamentally changed in my mind. And as I mentioned last week, we've got employers that have really had to adapt, right? And it's been really fascinating to see, employers that I'm talking with battle through that change and into this new paradigm. So, as I drilled down and prepared for today, wanted to talk specifically about, how you and other human resources leaders are supporting and communicating with employees that are working remotely. In some cases, these employees are working remotely, not just for the first time at their particular company or organization. They may be working remotely for the very first time. And these are certainly important considerations as we think about, that employee experience and engaging, motivating, and ultimately leading productive employees. So, I guess prior to COVID, maybe my curiosity is just with Sweetwater, historically, how have you communicated? What communication methods have you historically used to connect with employees?
Well, we've used a number of pretty traditional fronts. We have an internal intranet, of course, that we do a lot of regular communication on, both kind of the communication about our standard HR practices, needs, policies, benefits, those types of things, but also then giving more frequent updates just on anything the company needs to know in general. We've done all company emails in the past, some regular updates that go out via email. But by and large, just from I guess the way we approach our culture is we have always believed that the human connections are the ones that matter the most. And so we've gone to pretty extensive efforts to make sure our managers and leaders are well informed. And then have really, in many, many cases, rather than kind of doing large scale top-down communications out to the whole company, we really ask the managers to be the deliverers of the information. We just believe that helps facilitate that better connection between the employee and their direct manager. And of course, if you look at any studies that have been done on employee engagement over the years, far and away the biggest issue is the quality of the relationship with an employee's colleagues and their direct supervisor. And so we've actually, historically speaking, up until this recent season, we've erred away from kind of heavy top-down, all corporate communication in favor of pushing things out through our managers.
No, I really appreciate that. The idea of the human touch is critical, right? So, on our side, one of the very first things that we started to notice as leaders is, we really need to ensure that despite us not being face to face, to the extent possible, we really wanted to ensure that we had some type of eye-to-eye conversation. And so our ability to pivot during the March timeframe, as we pivoted to work from home, really the ability for us to have those face-to-face conversations through Amazon Chime and other technologies was really critical. Really seemed to help fight the disconnectedness. So, as Sweetwater began pivoting, whether it was mid-March, early March, late March, early April, whenever you guys started pivoting, to a different environment, whether it was work at home or a blend of office and home, were you compelled to adapt your approach with communicating to employees?
Yeah, well, absolutely. We sent the vast majority of our team members to work from home, and now some of them have begun to return back. But because we couldn't have those face-to-face interactions as much, and just even some of those hallway conversations, which can end up being very beneficial in relating information along. We did have to go to a little bit more of a corporate style in doing some all-company emails, some messaging, some things like that. And what we also found was our managers, who we typically relied on to be the deliverers of information, more so than ever, they were looking for some higher level guidance on what do we say, what do we communicate, what are we doing here, and it obviously had a much stronger emotional undercurrent to it than anything we've ever had to deal with before. I mean, there's the pragmatics of, okay, what is my working arrangement going to look like? What do you expect of me? There's the content side of the information, but more so for us, it was really making sure that we were approaching this in a human way, and that there was a strong tone of empathy and understanding and compassion that was going out. And the managers were kind of looking up to some of us in senior leadership saying, okay, well, how do we do that? How do we say that?
Right.
And so we shifted to doing some more corporate-wide communication than what we've normally done in the past, partly to just model for them, here's how we need to say it, as much as what we need to communicate.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's important. So it's the information, it's the content side, but it's also delivery. So one of the things that's been really important for us as an organization and several employers that I've talked to is just letting your guard down, showing that you're empathetic to everything that we're all going through, right? You've got this new work-life balance, and, it shouldn't really matter if there's a dog that's barking in the background. No one can control what time your neighbor, starts cutting their grass. It's just, it's life. It's in this new environment. And so we're trying to have as much fun with it. Yesterday, I had an internal client strategy meeting. We're preparing for a meeting in a couple weeks, and a colleague of mine, Jackie, just gave birth, 90 days ago to her firstborn son, and she's got her son on her lap, and we're doing this kind of, this strategy meeting, and we just had fun with it. I mean, you just can't ignore that. So I think that's really important. that human touch and the empathy is absolutely critical, I think, to include in messaging and in the tone specifically. But
yeah, and we've been honest in talking through even the tensions and managing some of that, because we do want to communicate with compassion and help all of our team members to understand we're supporting them in this very unique season. And at the same time, we're a very, very high performance environment. And so, yes, we've extended a lot of flexibility to people to work from home, but at the same time, we've needed to make sure that we're holding a lot of folks accountable. And that's a tricky balance. And so
Sure.
A lot of our conversations have been, okay, how do we exercise grace and compassion in these situations while making sure that folks are moving too far the other direction and becoming lax, because now some of the built-in accountability and structure that just happens when you walk into a work environment every day has been removed. And that's a big adjustment.
It's a big adjustment. And, one of the things that we've relied on, and we've always had this standard, but it's full transparency around our calendars. If you need to run an errand in the middle of the day, out of office, let's make sure that we're reflecting and accounting for, how we're spending our time. And that's been one way that, of course, we've been able to rely on and kind of go back to, as a standard that it's always been there, but probably more important now that we're all owning up to it, showing and, as you said, modeling that behavior. So, as we come out of this, I think the other important feature facet that we're going to see, I think, fundamentally take a swing is open enrollment. We started today talking about how we're communicating throughout the year and specific to the topic of COVID and moving to a work at home environment. But, I'm curious your thoughts on, the third and fourth quarter. I think there's going to be some employers, and a little bit of this has to do with headquarters and then proximity to HQ and those dynamics. That's, I think, baseline, whether you're an employer that has just mass number of employees all in one central location, or other employers that have a concentration at HQ, but then employees spread out all over the country. I certainly work with both of those profiles, but I think there's going to be some, irregardless, that are going to be a little leery of gathering people in mass numbers for open enrollment. And I've begun giving some pretty serious consideration how I'm going to help usher my clients through those that have 10/1, 11, 12, and January 1st renewals. How are they going to usher? How am I going to usher rather their employees through open enrollment? So just curious on your thoughts. In what ways do you think open enrollment might look and feel different later this year?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we're definitely one of those employers. We have all 1,700 of our team members on our campus here in Fort Wayne, and so it's easy for us to do the mass gatherings, or I should say easier. Mm-hmm. Despite that, that's not typically the approach we've taken with open enrollment. Again, we've tended to communicate the basics and the logistics of it via email, and then allow a lot of the questions to roll up through the managers and through our HR team. We're actually looking at it. I don't think it necessarily may take the form of a mass gathering to get everybody back together. Mm-hmm. But we're really looking at open enrollment this year as another opportunity for us to kind of step up our game in how well we communicate and dare I say, sell the benefits that we're offering to our employees. Because we're just seeing that so many folks are experiencing higher levels of anxiety, in some cases translating all the way to depression or other mental health issues. Mm-hmm. And we're just looking at every possible touch point we have, including open enrollment, as another place where we could be expressing compassion, making sure they understand just how much we're doing to work with them and for them in this process. So we've begun to think about, okay, do we need to do some more video-based stuff? Do we even have some people somehow, if they're willing, employees that be willing to come in and do some testimonials to talk about what some of our benefits offerings have meant to them and how it's worked well for them. But again, really using it as an opportunity through the open enrollment process to kind of connect back and use that as a strategic tool to speak more broadly into just where people are experiencing life right now in this season.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. That definitely resonates with me, and I think those are fantastic ideas. Making use of your studio and bringing voice to the value of your benefits, I think are going to be for every employer going to be really, really important as we consider open enrollment. So, hey Jeff, thanks for carving out some time to come on the point, and I just know how valuable time is as we've shifted recently to this new environment. We're not driving as much, so I know personally I've been able to get I feel like I'm having even more productivity, just squeezing in more work during the day. So I know time and value, and just appreciate you setting some time aside for our listeners today.
Well, it's been my pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jeff.
You can find more episodes for free on iTunes by searching The Point or Apex Benefits. Please rate, review, and subscribe to be the first to know about what we have in store for you. To learn more about Apex Benefits, please visit our website at www.apexbg.com or find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. Let's get to the point together.